Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Soram if you don't know me, and so I do hair videos here on my channel as well as many other types of videos, but today I am going to be doing some hair and I wanted to film some of it and show you guys how I like to do it. So I'm going to do some highlights and a haircut and lots of things. So this will probably be 2 or 3 videos, so you'll probably see this intro in 2 more of my videos, but they'll be different hairs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and let's get started. So I started this consultation before I even turned on the camera. So we talked about what she wanted, what her goals were by the end of the appointment, and like she even gave me a picture of kind of where she wanted to be. And you know, we have to be realistic, and she knew that she was not going to have exactly the same picture as the picture, but it's good to have a good like starting point on what the client wants. So we talked and she let me know how long she wanted her hair, and so I went in and started dry cutting her. Her hair was super long, so she wanted sort of a big change. So since I was going to do highlights, I didn't want to start the highlights and waste a lot of bleach or color on her hair when we were going to cut it off anyway. So that's why I am just dry cutting it here, and I cut off about 7 or 8 inches of hair. You could see a lot of that was lightened. She was actually a client of mine from a few, maybe almost a year ago. So if you want to see her transformation from my previous video, I will have that linked below. So I haven't done her hair in maybe about a year or a little less than a year, and she hasn't done anything else in her hair. So she came back and she wanted to get a haircut and add more highlights, since we were going to cut off a lot of her like lightened hair. So I went in and I just took big giant sections, just because this is a really quick rough cut. I wasn't doing like anything specific or perfect in this. I was just getting rid of the length that we didn't want. So I made sure to even all of her hair out, and so I will go through this real quick and then we will go on to the actual highlighting. So I was going to start the highlights with a section down, like dividing it into 2 sections, and I immediately like regretted that. I was like, nope, not doing that. So I just grabbed the whole back section and I just started taking diagonal sections up from the middle of the head. So technically I am doing the 2 sections, but just not dividing it first. So I started with about a ½ an inch on the bottom section. So I'm just clipping up the rest of the hair, and I'm going to go in and start baby lighting, which is what I wanted, you know, what we talked about, what she wanted. And she wanted lots of highlights, and so that is what I am starting to do. So I'm grabbing my foil underneath my metal comb, and I'm going to take some lightener, and I'm using the Matrix powder lightener with 30 volume and olaplex. So I never showed me actually mixing it all together, but that's what I'm using on her. So I added some olaplex in there to make sure that her hair was going to be protected and it wouldn't like get too damaged. But I am starting with the right side of her head and just adding that lightener in there, and then I am like feathering it up. So we're kind of doing a balayage with foils, just so we could get a little bit more of an even lift, especially with this creamier consistency of a lightener. So if we were using like a clay lightener, you wouldn't need the foils, but when it's a cream lightener like this one, then you do want to use the foils. So once I have that all in the foil, I like to fold it up so it doesn't move, and then I'm just going to divide the next little half-inch section. So I'm just using my little clip to section that out. I roll that right up and I move on to the next section. So I'm taking the hair, I am going to very finely weave out the baby lights, and then I'm going to add my lightener. I'm going to do this the whole way up the head, and I like doing it in this diagonal pattern because it doesn't give you any crazy lines of demarcation. It blends a lot better. And another thing to note is I am not taking the lightener all the way up to the scalp because these aren't traditional highlights. Like I said earlier, I'm doing more of a balayage, so I wanted to keep her kind of like give her kind of like a rooted look without actually, you know, lightening her base and then adding a darker color, because that would be kind of dumb. Like her hair is already dark. So I had noticed that the camera stopped recording, so I had to change SD cards, but I am pretty much halfway up the back of the head, and this is where the V, the angled V, was getting a little bit too deep. So I went in and cut horizontally a very small section right at the bottom of the V. So I took a small little section to kind of make the diagonal a little bit less pronounced, and I again took just a little weave of her hair, and I am just putting some lightener on that, and that was just like my little trick so it wouldn't be like completely dark down the center of the back of her head. And again, you can see me going in there and blending that up, and then once I have it all nice and saturated, I make sure to get all of her ends. And since I cut off most of her pre-lined ends, I wasn't worried about her ends, like her now shorter ends, getting damaged because it was only a little tiny bit of lightener that was left on there, and I still had, we were also just planning to add a little bit more layers onto her hair at the end of the haircut, like once I washed her hair out. So I wasn't really like too worried about her ends because I knew they were going to be okay, especially with the olaplex in her hair. I knew it was going to be fine. So now with this new little pattern in there, I'm just going to continue this until I am done with the back of her head. So I wasn't paying too much attention to my camera because I was like in the zone trying to get her hair done, but I totally didn't even realize that my camera turned off and I didn't get any of me doing the front of her, like the front sides of her hair, which is kind of annoying because I wasn't really paying attention. It's kind of my fault. But so I did the front of her hair at an angle towards kind of going back, so that if when she pulls her hair up into a ponytail, you don't see any like stripes or lines or anything, because I did it at a diagonal. I can't even talk. At a diagonal back. And I did that the whole way up, and then the last section on the very top, like the last half inch, I didn't do any highlights on, so that could kind of stay dark. And that's a little trick I learned recently from, I think it was actually a friend of mine when she was doing my hair last week. So now that I have all her foils in, I've let them sit for a while, and well, I've let the back ones sit for a while because I was doing the front. So now I'm just going in and checking to see where we are at with the color of the highlights, and I think I checked them already and they looked pretty light, so I'm going to go in and spray out the lightener. This is what I really like to do because I don't want her hair to fry. So once I see that it's light enough and it's like nice and bright, I go ahead and just spray it out with like a spray bottle of water and a towel. Just wipe off that lightener so it doesn't keep lightening her hair. And I always like to do this because it's really important not to over bleach hair, because then, you know, it could really get damaged, and it could like fall out of your client's hair, and you don't want that like out of their head. So I'm just going in and I'm going to spray out basically the whole back section of her head, just because these were basically all done. So all I needed to do was wait for the front ones to catch up, and then I am going to wash her out. So after I took all her foils out, I washed her hair out, and I ended up toning her, which I didn't record because, you know, I was in the zone. But I toned her with Matrix color, and I used natural, 8N and 8A. So that's 8 natural and 8 ash. So she ended up pulling a little bit orange and a little bit like yellow, not too brassy or anything, but just too yellow. So I kind of wanted to tone that down a little bit, and I thought the ash would really get rid of the yellow, and then the natural would kind of make it more subtle. So I didn't want it to be too ashy. I wanted it to be kind of like perfectly neutral. So I toned her in the bowl for about 5 minutes, and I just used the matrix color with 10 volume, and so I washed her, I just rinsed her bleach out, and then I applied the toner, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then washed her out and applied Olaplex number 2 and gave her a nice little scalp massage and just went through the whole thing. Like I said, I didn't record it because I was in the zone and I forgot to bring my camera over. And I really don't have a place to put it over there by the bowl, so that's just that. So I brought her over back to my chair and I put some product in her hair so it's nice and smooth and easier to comb through. I combed her out, and now I'm parting her hair again, making sure those lines are nice and straight, and I am going to give her the second part of her trim, which is just making sure everything is even and giving her some layers so it's not too blocky. Since she has nice curls, I didn't want her hair to be like really like blocky at the bottom since it's all one length. So I'm going in, and at an angle I am just gonna trim off that corner, which you can see there. It's just a little bit of hair. Just wanted her to give her a little bit more movement. So I'm going in and just cutting off about an inch and a half at the most from her ends at an angle. So not really from her ends, but just like from the top layer of hair. So I'm going to go through and then give her a quick trim, and then I will come back with the blow dry at the end. Since I was gonna blow her hair out, I wanted to add a little bit more product in, and this is just a smoothing balm. It's from the line Eufora, and usually on all my clients I use Eufora line. It's really great. The products are amazing. So I just used a smoothing balm, and I don't think I said earlier what I used in her hair before I cut her, but I used Sculpture and Illuminate. So it's like this like really light whole gel and shine spray, and I mix those together in my hand before I apply it. So that's what I did before the haircut. So then I just applied the smoothing balm, and then I am just gonna rough dry her hair, get the moisture out before I do the blowout with a brush, because it goes much quicker and it's easier when the hair is not like sopping wet. So I'm just gonna rough dry her hair real quick, and then I will do a blowout. So this is what her hair ended up looking like. I absolutely loved it. It really looked pretty similar to the picture she gave me, more of a rooted balayage look. I think the only thing that's different was that her hair was a little bit darker than the image, but she really liked it and I think it looked really great. So that's going to be it for these hair videos. I'm probably going to use the same outro for my second video as well, so you'll see me again looking like this for my next video. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and if you like my videos, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any more. I post videos every week, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!